Hello and welcome to World Talks. My name is Diana Skaya. After meetings in Warsaw with Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz and President Andrzej Duda, U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth emphasized that European countries must prioritize defense spending, saying that the United States' presence in Europe cannot be taken for granted indefinitely. Hegseth made it clear that increasing defense investment is not just a suggestion, but a demand for allies. Now, while diplomacy and negotiations are vital, he did point out that hard-powered tanks, bullets, and helicopters ultimately make the difference, a reality that both Poland and the United States fully recognize. And joining me now to discuss this further is Krzysztof Jaworski, Deputy Director at the Institute for Security and International Development. Krzysztof, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
It's such an important day today. For Europe, really a lot going on here in Warsaw and in Germany. Krzysztof, let's first talk about, U.S. Defense Secretary was in Warsaw. He met with the Polish president, with Poland's defense minister. It was the first official meeting following, of course, his recent appointment. What conclusions can we draw from the fact about how important of an ally Poland is for the United States?
The fact that first bilateral meetings Pete Hegseth took in Europe after meeting in NATO headquarters with NATO command, it shows how important is the role of Poland when it comes to security in Eastern and Central Europe. It is because of our geography. We are main hub when it comes to logistics and support for Ukraine, and we are strong and big country in this region with a strong army, which could be core of defense of our region. So I think that the fact that Pete Hegseth took these meetings as first meetings during his trip, it is because of this strengths of Poland.
We agreed on joint investments, joint security guarantees, and modernization of our capabilities. This is what Kosiniak-Kamysz said at a press conference. Now, what can you tell us about the specifics of this growing defense cooperation between the United States and Poland?
So it's like a trend which is strengthening for several years, exactly after starting of war in Ukraine. And Poland made some huge investments when it comes to defense. Some of these investments were buying it straight from the United States, as well as mainly South Korea. So on the one hand, it's something we need as a Poland. On the other hand, it is the question from where are we going to buy it. So for United States, it's as well both the question of security and of business and their defense sector. So I think that they are going to, as you cited, as you quoted, Pete Hegseth, demand a bigger spend to U.S. companies. But well, when it comes to position of U.S. in our region and role in our security, it may be a good choice to go on with this demand of United States.
Do you think that this is coming at a very crucial time here in Europe with all these changes happening? How do you think regionally with everything that's going on that this relationship should actually flourish even more?
Yes, it seems that the new administration, that Trump and his vice president are going to try to reshape politics of Europe, because we may look at these informations about possible peace talks when it comes to Ukraine, but at the same time there is strong pressure at Europe. It's especially when we look at speech of J.D. Vance in Paris and at AI Summit, and today at Munich Security Conference. So J.D. Vance said it really straightforward. He wasn't soft for Europe when it comes to what US demands of European politicians, of European allies. So I think we need to keep eye on this fact of US influence when it comes to internal politics in Europe, because it will be as important as security, hard security in our region is.
What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge? You just mentioned that as you highlighted that word. What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge?
I think the biggest challenge will be to for allies, for politicians in Europe to get get along with United States, because it will be unpleasant for them. It will be challenging for them, because it's not some kind of soft suggesting as it used to be during Biden's presidency. It's demanding with some kind of using even strong arguments when it comes to security. For example, leaving Europe alone, which was told by Trump many times before, but now it seems much more realistic. I suppose that why Donald Trump and J.D. Vance is using this argument is because they don't believe any longer that Europe can move faster without such strong pressure.
Krzysztof, Pete Hegseth commented on the situation in Ukraine. I'd like you to listen for a moment to what it is he said.
My job today and in Brussels was to introduce realism to the conversation. The reality that returning to 2014 as borders as part of a negotiated settlement is unlikely. The reality of U.S. troops in Ukraine is unlikely. The reality of Ukraine membership in NATO as a part of a negotiated settlement, unlikely. And I stand by the comments that I made on that first day in the Ukraine contact group.
Krzysztof, reaffirming that Ukraine cannot return to its pre-2014 borders, that it's unrealistic. What is your take on this?
Yes, when we look at how it looks militarily, it is really hard to achieve, and it is unrealistic, because the only power which could make it happen is US, and US has other interests, mainly its rivalry with China. US cannot afford to send their troops, and even if they could, they are not willing to. So without their inclusion, it's unrealistic on own strength of Europe or Ukraine.
Do you think that with everything that, this new U.S. administration is taking, of course, a different approach to European allies, should Europe be concerned about a potential rift within NATO, especially among European countries?
I think it's a real risk, because U.S. is playing some kind of risky game by such way of negotiating with its own allies. It could make these allies to make these things US demands, and it could result, for example, in really positive results of peace talks, but at the same time there is risk of growing antagonism between some European and at the same time NATO countries and US, and instead of, for example, making bigger spending at defense and creating better military capabilities which is crucial, because we talk a lot about numbers when it comes to spending, but what matters is capabilities we buy for this money, because percent of GDP could be grown, for example, by paying more salary to people serving in army. And at the same time, it could be grown by buying real capabilities. So I think we should focus more on capabilities than on solely numbers.
Thank you so much, Krzysztof Jaworski, Deputy Director at the Institute for Security and International Development, for your insights here on World Talks this evening.
Thank you very much.
And that's all for this edition of TVP World Talks. I'm Diana Sky. Don't go away. Up next, news.